Greetings, dear friends. Today is June 17th, 2024. How quickly my years fly by. I don't know about yours, though. We haven't seen each other for a long time, but I know for sure that many of you feel my presence in Georgia with your soul. And I give you my word that I also feel your souls when I make these videos. More than 13 years ago, I opened a foundation in my name, and I dream that it will become very important for Georgia when I am gone. My name will not exist, but it will work and bring good luck. Or rather, not luck, but joy for people who suffer, and luck for those who help them. More than 13 years flew by, like one day of my life, when I felt in my soul that I no longer wanted the fame, money, or power. I had a lot of it, a 3-time deputy and the 2-time mayor of Kyiv, for whom more people voted than even for the president of Georgia. Well, I felt that I wanted to help people, and I ended up in Georgia, with which my whole life is connected. My children were born here, and my wife is from here. In general, you know all this. And when the war in Ukraine ends, I want to do the same in Ukraine. For this purpose, I have a fund there, and it is called Social Partnership. I want to encourage other hearts and souls to become closer to God through helping others. This is the goal of my foundation. Not money or even specific help, but to make you, my friend, closer to God, so that you feel His love. This is very important for me now, at almost 73 years old. That is, everything is as in the Bible for any person who believes with all of his soul. Help others, help someone who will not thank you, will not kiss your hand, will not swear allegiance to you for the rest of his life, won't swear with their children and God, and with everything you want. You shouldn't do it. It is a sin, and you will help someone whose grief you let through your heart after seeing our video, our post, and trouble, which are located somewhere, maybe even 500 kilometers from Tbilisi, somewhere on the very edge of Georgia. You'll never be there, but you will see so much misery that God will open your heart, and you will make these people happy. Well, and sometimes later you will meet them, the children of those families. Many people say, so many children. Why are you having these many children? This is happiness. This is encouraged in any country. Sick people give birth, or non-sick people give birth to normal children. And we must give them an education. We must help them study, monitor their lives, and make them full-fledged citizens of Georgia who will glorify it. They will glorify it. And I will show you this with an example. We showed it before. One of the young boys, Goga, climbed a lamppost as a child and got burned. He lost his hands. Doctors cut off his hands, and he was left without hands. A boy who dreamed of life and of friendship and of love. Now he's incomplete, and you helped him. He was accepted in the national team. He turned out to be a very athletic young man, among those with physical disabilities. He became a Europe, or even a world champion. And now he has money. He lives in a village. There was fame, and that's all. True, for some reason, the president has not even awarded him a medal yet, although he is already a 3-time European champion. Strange things, but this is a different matter. You made him like this. This was the miracle. When a man of God, and we are all created in his image and likeness, and he loves us all without exception, does good to his compatriot, whom he has never even heard of before. And, as I said, his village is located 400 or 500 kilometers from Tbilisi. He fulfills his greatest destiny for God in life. This is not holding the post of prime minister, or a great official, or a businessman. This is helping your neighbor, because when you help someone you don't know, you should help your dad, mom, and children. This is your duty. It's as if your heart wants it from birth. But you helped a stranger. You extended your hand to God. That's what the Bible says. Well, if God shook your hand, you don't have to worry about you anymore. Believe me, a man who had power, money, and fame, a sinful man like all of us when we were young, that there is no greater joy for God than to see your noble hearts. I don't know what exactly will be your reward in heaven for your good deed, but I do know the truth, that it will be something that you cannot dream of, cannot imagine. Because neither the ways of the Lord are mysterious, nor what he does with us, and will do there somewhere, in a place that we don't even know about, we can't imagine. But it will be such happiness you can't imagine. I believe in this. I believe with all my soul, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this. What's interesting is that I've traveled all over the world. There are poor people in all countries of the world, and this often does not depend on whether the country is rich or poor. But these poor people, are different. There are homeless people who became like this by their own free will, or by the will of drugs and drunkenness, or playing cards. But there are decent people who don't play cards, don't drink vodka, don't use cocaine. But they are in such terrible conditions that there are no such conditions even in Africa. No hot water, no light, no nothing. There is nothing to bathe the child in, nothing to feed him. There is nothing to feed him. He's undressed. Children laugh at him. He has no computer, no tablet, no phone. Why not? Can't we really afford him such a small thing now? We will keep taking care of him in the future, but for now at least this. So, these worthy people have many children in Georgia, and they will never become homeless. This is a completely different category of people. I dealt with homeless people in Ukraine. It was the largest fund in Europe that dealt with them. We fed 2,000 people a day. We dressed them, put shoes on their feet, and we did a lot of things. This is a different category of people, and no one knows why they become like this. And therefore, there is absolutely no research on this matter. So they became like this, and that's it. I always used to run in the morning when I was young, and in America, when I was running, we came to the UN with President Kuchma. He spoke there about hell knows what. When I was running in New York, black people were running after me at 6 in the morning with mugs in front of me. Or rather, beer cans, I think. Why would I have money on me? I'm in a tracksuit, all sweaty. I drove them away from me, but they still follow. So we ran around and did exercises. In this sense, my heart aches for Georgia, where people, regardless of poverty, are not guilty of anything. They found themselves in this position, and we must understand them. For example, we now have a woman who had a small part of her hip broken in the maternity hospital. The doctors dropped her. Lord, what kind of doctors are there in Georgia? What kind of doctors are left in the post-Soviet countries? Unfortunately, Everyone who is more or less capable of working with complex equipment has left. I have friends, two gynecologist professors. They are volunteers and help us in many ways. But these are great people. They live for pennies and perform the most complex operations. There are only one or two of them left. So, this is poor Alena, it's her name. Here's her photo. She suffered terribly. She has undergone 16 surgeries since then. Of course, her husband left her. She was left with child. Young, beautiful, 36 years old woman. She was born with prolapse of the hip joint, but only a small part of it. This was, of course, a medical error. She was not disabled in the womb. She developed actively and normally. She was active and had a slight limp. The attending physician did not advise surgery until the bones stopped growing. And from the age of 23 to 36, she underwent 16 operations. People who didn't have the right to perform even one surgery. They would be put in prison for this abroad. Because when you go to a doctor in Europe, believe me, I've been all over it. The first thing you ask is, how many of these surgeries have you performed before? And what is your success rate? They never succeeded in these types of surgeries. The last doctor I found beat his chest and said, I'll do it. I said, you won't. He says, I will do it. But he was so proud. So he didn't want to talk to me deeply about this topic, but he gave me figures that 70% of his people came out in normal condition. He forced me to buy special equipment in Germany to carry out this surgery. He performed it. And now look what happens to her next. Today he doesn't talk to me anymore. And we want to send Alena abroad. This is the only option. But now, doctors discuss the possibility of amputating the young woman's leg. But I think they can cut off her leg in Georgia too. It's not a problem. Oh Lord, today we are looking for doctors in Europe who could definitely at least give some kind of guarantee that they will save her leg. Well, the leg has swollen to an unimaginable size. She uses drainage to pump pus out of her leg every morning. Well, this is the story, and this is Alena, a Georgian citizen. She had the right to be protected by the state, but there are no doctors in Georgia. Here you see her, this unhappy woman. This is her state today. They agreed that someone would do something to her, but I don't want to send her there, as much as you like. To go to Turkey, you need to collect $15,000. And the mayor of Tbilisi promises to give her another 20. But that's not the point. I myself would spend any money for her. But this doctor is a young man, and he has no statistics. And I don't want to send her there. And I don't know what to do, because she can't live like this anymore. But we are looking and looking, and we'll find at least someone who will not leave her in such a terrible state. And here's the handsome boy, Alexei. Lord, this boy. If I had another son like him, he would probably be even happier. Much happier. He collects everything he can from landfills, mostly metal, sells, brings home some bread. He has a large family, and he is its breadwinner. Well, what is this? But we give him a phone, he cries, and how reasonable he is. He says such things. This is the future Prime Minister of Georgia. And look at the conditions in which he has to live. Lord, help us not to forget about the grief of others. Should he cry at night for his sisters and sick parents? He should not. Watch the video. You will understand. But here's a blind old man who is over 80, and a very beloved and loving old woman who does not remember anything. She has dementia. He doesn't see anything. He's completely blind. But they lived a life for Georgia. They worked for the country. They didn't know what would happen to them. They are ordinary people. And we are all equal to God. Whether a prime minister, a billionaire, or an ordinary person, God loves everyone. Should they be standing on the corner of some Tbilisi street where this old man's grandmother brought him? An intelligent blind person. Should he stand there, shaking the aluminum mug that they bought somewhere during the war with the Nazis? Here is a large family. Look how beautiful the children are. For what? Why? Who should I ask about this? This is a problem throughout the former Soviet Union. But I never thought that this was possible in Georgia. When I was a kid, I walked around many villages in Russia, and I saw how people lived in swamps and dense forests, always drunk with moonshine stills. I even once saw an old grandmother in a dense forest with such a shack, what is it called, with a house like that. Well, that's how Baba Yaga lived on chicken legs. And this good old lady had a good moonshine still, and a 7-meter hollow made of wood, through which the moonshine flowed and was felt during this time. She had good moonshine, so everyone went into the forest for her moonshine. This is how they lived. But Georgians are not such people. They are proud. They don't want to make moonshine. They want to live like people. And we must help them with this. Georgians are people who always smell good, who are ready to share the last, who believe in God and will not allow their pride to be trampled on. I was once high in the mountains looking for trout. By the way, I never found it, and the river as well. And then I saw a family working in the field, an old man, his wife, grandchildren, and daughter-in-law. There were a lot of them. They were poor people, and I drove to hell in an expensive Mercedes. And I asked them, my driver asks, they didn't know Russian, where's the river? It was along the road and suddenly it went to the side, got lost. They say, why do you need a river? I say, I want to catch trout. He says, my dear, you don't need a river. Look, do you see my house on the mountain? Now we will go there and you will eat the most delicious Georgian food. And they had nothing. But I know for sure that they would run to the neighbors and there would be khinkali. Oh, Lord, what kind of people? This is a miracle of the Lord. We must help them. Well, these are our Georgian angels today. Thanks to you, they have normal beds, telephones, computers, toys, clothes, everything that a child needs today. But life goes on. Tomorrow they will need new things, new ones. And I want to make sure that we continue to follow this family. And we already have 1,000 of them. Here I am showing you the children. They are handsome. This is what it was like and what it is like today. In many cases, we did not have time to make posts and report, but believe me, they already have bunk beds, and their houses were repaired, and water has been installed, and everything is there. And toys. Absolutely everything. But tomorrow they will be older, and the boy will no longer need a pacifier, but will need a phone, because he is Georgian. And what king of eyes they have. What kind of children they are. How beautiful. I'm watching my video now and enjoying what I see. I was like this too. Do you think that I fell from the sky? I grew up practically without parents. I basically didn't see my father. He left his family because there was no money. He had to leave for the Virgin Lands. Mom was alone. Well, that's how things are. I will present you very interesting data so that you have a good mood today. We have 140,000 philanthropists. More than 90% of them are poor people. They know other people's grief. They transfer 10 tea tree, 20 tea tree. But at the end of the day, the purpose of my foundation is not money. These are the souls of people. This is the hand of God extended to a specific person. After all, they don't just give you these pennies. They give their last money. At the same time, they pray for the family we show. And for me, it is such an honor. If I had the strength, I would hug and kiss each of these people. Just imagine 140,000 people who help on regular basis. There are also philanthropists. Our children are constantly fed by McDonald's and other restaurants. I'll show you a video. In Georgia, it is estimated that there are about 3 million people. I think less, because whoever can runs away to free countries. Because post-Soviet countries don't have the main thing, democracy. They don't guarantee a person that tomorrow nothing will be taken away from him. And laws that give him the right to speak out boldly about issues. Because if he, a businessman, starts criticizing the government, then tomorrow he will end up in prison and his business will be chopped off. Okay. So I calculated that if you take away the children and old people from these 3 million, there will be 500,000 people left. These are the ones who are capable of helping others. Believe me, you and I, not just me, I'm old, managed to do the incredible. We have more philanthropists than even in vast Russia, or even Ukraine, or in any other country. We have raised so many people closer to the Creator. To manage this, money, my money, not philanthropists, is spent on advertising, on various advertising things, of course. And my speech today is also an advertisement, because definitely a lot of you will listen to it. And your heart will open. But everything I say without advertising on social networks will not reach you. You won't hear my words. You will not enter into dialogue with me. And I need it. If you like my speeches, repost. This is very important. Pray for those who feel bad, help your others. This is how we managed to attract the entire adult population of Georgia to kindness. None of the businessmen in the past, in any post-Soviet country, has succeeded in this, because they do not do this themselves. There are many noble people, rich people, billionaires who give money to someone. They give them to their loved ones and subordinates so that they can help people. But they don't control the process. And in order to do charity, you need a head. My head. At least, there are probably better heads, but my head is still not bad. I can still do this and will continue to do this as long as I'm alive. We have spent 20 million lari on charity since 2013. I would spend 2 times, 3 times more together with you. but I have no information. If you know who is sick, who is in need, who has big families, who is on social benefits, it's terrible, these social canteens and everything that exists. Let us know. We have 24/7 communication. There is a phone number that you can call and get an answer the next day to the question, where, where to run, where to go, who to help. Well, that's your point. And I know for sure, since we are always looking at what is happening in the former USSR, that such a number of God's people that we managed to attract in Georgia are not found in any other post-communist country. In the West, this thing is very developed. There, if a person in America does not do charity work, there are many believers there too. No one will simply say hello to them. There are laws on charity. But in Georgia and other post-Soviet countries, there are none. 30 years ago, I once submitted such a law to Parliament in Ukraine. It has not yet been accepted, and no one will accept it. Therefore, in the territory of the former USSR, 90% of funds are fraudulent. The people who work there are very difficult people. They find photos of a child with cancer on the internet. Help! He's dying. Who to help or where? And no one puts them in jail. There is not a single criminal case in the former Soviet Union. And I'm a former prosecutor. And I know that even in the USSR, they would have been imprisoned. There are no cases, and there won't be, because there is no law on charity. Therefore, no one does this to distinguish who is good and who is bad. We work with the most famous audit companies in the world, which audit the governments of the United States of America, England, France, and Great Britain, but not Georgia, because Georgia's budget is classified, like in many other post-Soviet countries. We give you our financial reports. Look, every help is always accounted. We always openly show how much we have collected and how much we have given. Well, of course, there are businessmen. May God give them health and happiness. Good luck. Good luck. Businessmen need luck. The ways of the Lord are mysterious. You can become a beggar at any moment. Believe me. Therefore, fellow businessmen, donate and help. But with soul. Your money is not as important as your souls. And then luck will always be with you. Well, that's how it goes. I lived in Georgia for many years. Not just these 13 years while I'm doing charity work. At the age of 65, I even managed to bring to this world a citizen of Georgia named Gavril. He'll be a good guy, I think. But today I'm alone. Alone with God. And I don't need any people because I'm very busy. I work for days. Well, who needs me like that? Only the God if I am still able to create, think, speak, judge, and philosophize. I dream that the day will come when many of the most famous people in Georgia will become founders of the foundation that I created. And it will not be called by my name, because it is arrogance. Honestly, it's not beautiful. I didn't think about it when I created it, and now it's no longer cool to change the brand. And together we will come up with a name of God that reflects the greatness of God and His beloved country and people, Georgia. I dream that the fund will become self-sustaining. That it will not depend on anyone's money. It will have many kindred souls. Well, that's how it goes. Many who knew me in the past think that I am crazy. Well, that means I'm crazy. This is what it is. But my dream is that I would not be in the name of the fund or in its financing. This is true. I beg God to let me live until the time when there are billions of dollars in the fund, and that's easy. For example, I was in the Army of Freedom in the Foundation in Geneva. This was my favorite city while I was hanging around Europe as a banker. This is where the administration of some president is. Seriously. Because funds there are exempt from taxation. Not the funds themselves. In Georgia, they are also exempt. But those who donate. They can send money to the budget, or they can send it, for example, to install a water pipeline somewhere in Africa. They don't know anything about Georgia, that Georgia has worse problems than African countries. But they are not taxed, so they even have the right to resolve military conflicts. This is the power that you and I can create. Well, what other good things to say? Call your parents, my friends, everyone who can hear me. This is very, very important to them. This is the best thing you can do during these difficult times. And take care of your soul. Anything can happen. Every time I say in the morning, thank you, God, for a new day in life. I may not have it. It's not up to us. Don't swear to God or swear at all. Who are we to know what will happen to us tomorrow? To have time to do good, to help people. This is what we came to Earth for. Have a nice evening, everyone. Call your parents and find out how they are doing. Good luck. Bye.